You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever audio podcatcher you listen to and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but keeps all of this free. And if you want more than that, join the Insiders program on the subtext link down below. There's no trolls, a 14-day free trial, and the easiest way ever to cancel. So give that a try. And if you don't, forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. Listen, this Ole Miss-LSU game coming up this weekend has a chance to be a major game of the day, game of the week type vibe going on. I think on FanDuel, it opened up at minus 1.5. Ole Miss is the favorite in that game. LSU is probably going to go through. They have a large fan base that's going to throw a lot of money on that. We have to pay attention to what Vegas does with the line, all of that stuff. We will watch all of that stuff over the course of the week. But it all started with ABC selecting Ole Miss for 2:30 as opposed to 7:30 in a game at the Georgia Bulldogs. Alabama and Georgia is the night game. Ole Miss and LSU is at 2:30 Central Time. And Lane Kiffin, in his post-game press conference about Tulane, mentioned that if this game was in LSU, you guarantee it would be a night game. If this game was in Athens, Georgia, you would guarantee that it would be a night game. But since it's at little old Ole Miss, it is at 2:30. You can't have a night game. You can't have that moment. The biggest game of the year for Ole Miss in Oxford, you're going to end up playing it at 2:30. And I get the fact that everybody's kind of used to doing that because of CBS back in the day whenever they did the best game from the best conference at 2:30 every single Saturday. I get that. But that was the first domino that fell. You know, we figured, hey, that we have a chance to have a top 10 level matchup between both teams of Ole Miss and LSU, because LSU is going to be third or fourth or something like that over in the AP poll or in the coaches poll and all that. So maybe game day shows up, or at least SEC Nation, you know, because Ole Miss is the highest ranked game in the Southeastern Conference this week. I figured, and everybody else figured, that it likely the 4 of the game. No, Ole Miss and LSU was completely ignored in this game for game day and SEC Nation as well. Game day is going to State College, Pennsylvania for Oregon and Penn State. That's number 2 versus number 4. Okay, I guess I can get that. But SEC Nation choosing to go to Athens for Alabama and Georgia is weird. It screams big market. It screams Paul Feinbaum's influence. It screams all of that stuff. It screams what college football was like in 2017, not what college football is like now. As it sits right now, Ole Miss and Missouri are 2 of the best 4 teams in the Southeastern Conference. Ole Miss is 3 games more wins than LSU over the last 4 or 5 years or something like that. Since LSU won the national championship, they've been undoubtedly a worse program than Ole Miss. I mean, that's the world we're living in at the moment. But this game absolutely should, at a minimum, get SEC Nation. It should have gotten game day, if we're going to be completely honest, especially with Wednesday night, the many lives of Lane Kiffin appearing as an E60 documentary as well. Ole Miss likely should have gotten game day. And Ole Miss would have drank out like Memphis, like a 4-hour circle around Oxford if Ole Miss and LSU got game day. It would have been like unlike anything that we had seen. But it didn't happen. The networks all decided to do bigger markets. It's kind of like ESPN doing game day at Miami for the Miami-Florida game, to where Florida ended up with like 133 yards of offense. And Chris Doering on SEC Football Final talked about the Florida offense having low T. And it was hilarious. But What all of this has done has ensured likely that this is going to be the game of the week. You don't need to watch Oregon and Penn State. Not going to be the game of the week. You don't need to watch Georgia and Alabama. No, it's not going to be the game of the week. You need to watch Ole Miss and LSU. Right now, like I said, the line's at about 1.5. It's basically a pick 'em at this point. It's a money line play through and through because of how easy and how even it looks. LSU probably feels pretty good about their matchup with Ole Miss. Ole Miss, I know, feels really good about their matchup with LSU. And because of that, you're going to see it play out like you would expect on the field. The home field advantage for Ole Miss is going to be massively important. It's going to be absolutely huge whenever you're dealing with LSU. This needs to be basically like the Georgia game was for Ole Miss in 2024. It needs to look like that. This is a game where the crowd can impact what LSU does. And because of that, I think you'll see Pete Golding have a much better plan against the LSU Tigers. Pete Golding has not had good plans traditionally against LSU for whatever reason. Once the LSU offense gets cooking, it gets cooking. It really gets cooking. And Ole Miss has lost last year's game on the last play of the game. They literally never trailed in this game until it was over. That is what that game was. The year before, on the last play of the game, the ball was in the air for LSU to win or lose the game, the last play of the game. The Ole Miss LSU game has basically been last play of the games in the last 2 years. And I see no reason why this year won't follow that exact same script. Now, I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as it has been. It definitely won't be as high scoring as 2023. But I don't even think it'll be as high scoring as 2024. This is a game that has a chance to be a 17-17 game in the fourth quarter. Trinidad Chambliss or Austin Simmons or whoever takes over for Ole Miss in this game, they have to value the ball with their life. It goes back to what we have said over the last 4 weeks. Winning football has to be played. You want to make LSU have to drive 75 yards every series. You don't want to give them short fields. And if that happens, your defense is good enough to get a stop from time to time. Because I'm going to be real about something. The pass defense for this Ole Miss defense, save the Taylon Green fiasco, has been pretty good. And it should only get better as this goes on. So we'll see exactly what it looks like and where it stands for the Ole Miss Rebels and the LSU Tigers. Anyway, in our final segment, we're going to get into some leans and locks for SEC Week 5. And trust me, you don't want to miss this one. It is shaping up to be an epic week of football. We will discuss it all next. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it is completely free. Your support means the world to us. Also, in another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview show that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty-toddy, everybody, and remember, analytics is just the old English word meaning bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.